My name is Elias Hawthorne. I'm 31, the youngest of four in a family that built its name on old money, newer lies, and a reputation polished with charity dinners and high-rise real estate deals. While my siblings were born with shark teeth and ambition in their blood, I was always the quiet one, the one who didn't fit, who got elbowed out of photos, conversations, and eventually, inheritance talks. They called me fragile. A liability. Maybe they were right. I've spent most of my adult life avoiding family gatherings and pretending I didn't care what they said behind closed doors. But yesterday, after 4 years of silence, I returned home from the hospital and found my neighbor waiting at the curb. She grabbed my arm, looked me dead in the eyes, and whispered, "Don't go inside. Call your dead father." That's when I realized I was already too late. Rain whispered against the hood of my coat. My hands were still trembling from the discharge papers. I hadn't even taken the damn wristband off. For fractured ribs, mild concussion, and a laceration that needed 17 stitches, the doctor had said, like it was a grocery list. I didn't tell anyone I was coming home. No one in that house would have cared. The car engine died. Silence took over, except for the soft hiss of tires rolling by on wet pavement. The gate creaked as I pushed it open. That sound, the rusty drone of steel, always reminded me I didn't belong here. Still didn't. Then she appeared. Autumn Reed. Lived next door for 15 years. Never said more than a polite nod and morning. Tonight, she blocked the path. Umbrella tilted. Red coat clinging to her frame. "Elias," she said. Voice lower than I remembered. Tense. "Don't go inside." I blinked. "What?" She stepped closer. Her eyes darted once, quick, to the second-floor window. The drapes were drawn. "Call your father." My blood ran cold. "You know he's—" I know what I said. She held my wrist. Tight. "Don't open that door. Call him. Now." I didn't move. "I'm serious." Her breath hitched. "If you go in there without talking to him first, you won't walk out." Lightning split the sky behind her. For a second, her silhouette flared red. I yanked my hand back and staggered past. "You've lost your mind." She didn't follow. Didn't shout. Just stood there, face blank like stone, until I turned the knob. Click. Door opened. No alarm. No creak. No welcome. Just the house, dark and still. Like it was waiting for something. Or someone. I stepped inside. My boots left small puddles on the hardwood. No one called my name. No one came running. Of course not. Gideon and Reese were probably at some boardroom war, and Leora, hell, she might not even know I'd survived the crash. But the smell was off. Like burnt paper. And copper. I took another step. That's when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. 3 words flashed across the screen. Call him. Now. My throat tightened. I slid the lock on the door. Turned toward the staircase. Buzz. Another message. This time, a contact name lit up. Dad, Todd Hawthorne. The name I hadn't seen in 8 years. Since the funeral. My thumb hovered. I pressed call. It rang once. Twice. Click. "Eli," the voice said. "Don't speak. Listen. You're in danger." I froze. My knees almost gave. That house is not safe. Leave now. I swallowed. "Dad? It's not over. They know you're alive. That wasn't an accident. And the people behind it. They're in that house." My breath hitched. "Who?" The line cut. I turned slowly. The living room door creaked open on its own. Someone was in the house. Watching. Waiting. The old saying hit me like a slap. You don't bury the past. You build on top of it. And pray it never breathes. Tonight, it just did. The voice was gone. No static. No click. Just silence. I stood there, phone still pressed to my ear, the house so quiet it felt like it had forgotten how to breathe. Then the creak. Soft. Right above me. I looked up. The landing on the second floor was dark, too dark. The hallway light switch near the stairs wasn't responding. I hit it twice. Nothing. No movement. But the silence felt aimed. Someone was up there. Watching. I stepped backward. Slow. Careful. The floor groaned under my weight, and the sound bounced off the walls like it didn't belong in the house anymore. I reached for the front door handle. Locked. But I hadn't locked it. I hadn't touched it since walking in. My breath caught. The air was colder now. Wet. The smell, sharper. Like bleach trying to cover iron. A shape moved past the glass panel of the hallway. Too fast to catch. Show yourself, I snapped. My voice cracked. Nothing. Not a sound. Until the phone vibrated again. New message. From an unknown number. They know you called. Run. I spun around. Something glinted on the floor behind the kitchen island. Metal. A knife? No. Not a weapon. A key. My father's old office key, HE3 engraved on its brass head. I hadn't seen it since the day of his funeral. That key was supposed to have been buried with him. My hand shook as I picked it up. Cold. Recently handled. Not by me. Cut scene. Footsteps behind me. Quick. I turned, too slow. Hey! Who? The words choked midair. No one there. But the back door was ajar. Curtain swaying. Wind rushing in. Someone had just left. Or wanted me to think they had. I stepped outside, heart hammering. The backyard was empty. Grass soaked, rain dripping off the awning. But the gate was open. I reached for my phone again, another text. Check the shed. I didn't move. Then a second text. One word. Now. I ran. The grass squelched beneath my boots as I reached the tool shed. I yanked the rusted handle and swung the door open. There was no sound. Not until I stepped in. Click. A voice recorder activated. My father's voice again. If you're hearing this, Elias, then I failed. And you're next. I froze. You need to get to the safe. The real one. You remember the wine cellar? I nodded, slowly. Left, right, left, 16, 3, 11. Hurry. They won't hesitate this time. The recording ended. A second later, something buzzed above my head. A camera, tiny, black, blinking red. Someone was still watching. I crushed the recorder under my boot and bolted. Back through the yard. Through the kitchen. Toward the cellar door near the basement steps. The code. I repeated it silently. 16. 3. 11. My fingers fumbled with the dial, the numbers slipping as fast as the sweat pooling on my neck. Click. The door opened. Inside was pitch black. I grabbed my phone's flashlight and stepped into the cold. Dust. Mold. Silence. Then, scratches on the floor. The kind that came from dragging something heavy. Recently. I followed the marks. Moved the rack of vintage bottles aside. Behind it, another wall panel. Pushed. It opened. The hidden safe. Steel. Polished. No dust. A keypad. Not a dial. This wasn't from Dad's time. I stared. Then remembered. He used to say, if they ever force you to prove who you are, give them what they want but keep the truth inside. Not a metaphor. I checked the phone again. Battery 14%. No signal down here. I typed in his badge number from the private firm he used to run. 7-5-2-1-9. Click. It hissed open. Inside, a manila folder, a USB drive, and my birth certificate. But not the one I'd seen before. This one listed my full name and under father. Not Todd Hawthorne. It read, Joseph Nolan Whitaker. I staggered back. Nolan. A name I'd heard in whispers and drunken rants from Reese and Gideon when they thought I was asleep. The name they were afraid of. My real father? Twist sharp. Someone banged upstairs. Heavy. Boots. I slammed the safe shut, grabbed everything, and killed the flashlight. My phone buzzed again. Signal returned. New text. This time from Gideon. You shouldn't have come back. You were supposed to die in that crash. I didn't text back. My fingers were ice. My brain, fire. Gideon's message burned into the screen. You were supposed to die in that crash. The words didn't need decoding. They were a confession. I shoved the documents into my jacket. Shoved the USB into my pocket. Shoved my fear deeper. Then I ran. Up the stairs. Past the echo of my own heartbeat. Living room. Clear. Hallway. Lights off. Front door. Open. Someone had unlocked it again. Outside, the street glistened under the drizzle. Empty. But I didn't trust empty. Every silence is just noise waiting to attack. I stepped out and locked the door behind me. Footsteps. Fast. From the side yard. I ducked behind the hedge. Waited. A shadow moved across the driveway. Tall. Male. Hood up. Gideon? No. Too lean. He paused by the front steps, pulled out a phone, and took a picture of the door. Snap. Then walked away. Like he was clocking a crime scene. I stayed down until the gate clicked shut behind him. Then I bolted across the lawn, through the back alley, and into the side street. Cut scene. 10 minutes later, I was in the garage of the only person I could trust. Autumn Reed. She didn't speak when she opened the door. Just yanked me inside, locked up, and threw a towel at me. You were supposed to stay out, she hissed. They know I'm alive. No kidding. She turned off all the lights except the one over the kitchen sink. Shadows crawled up the walls. I pulled the USB from my pocket. I found this. And this. I tossed the certificate on the table. She stared. Joseph Whitaker, she whispered. You know the name. Everyone in the AMC circuit does. Her voice dropped. He's not just anyone, Eli. He ran deep internal ops for 2 decades. Corporate espionage, cover-ups. Then vanished. People said he went rogue. He was my father. No. Todd was. Not on paper. She sank into the chair. Stared at the floor. You don't just trip into this kind of truth, she murmured. You get pushed. And Gideon just confirmed it. The crash wasn't random. Autumn stood. Walked to the sink. Didn't turn the water on. You need to disappear. I can't. Not yet. You're bleeding, Eli. I looked down. My palm, sliced open, probably from the safe. Blood dripping onto the tile. What we survive is not what defines us. It's what we do after we realize why we had to survive. She looked over her shoulder. You get that quote from your fake dad or your real one? Don't know. But it fits. Cut scene. She helped me patch the cut. Then connected the USB to her encrypted laptop. We waited. A folder popped open. Files. Spreadsheets. Codes. And then, video. One clip. Timestamped 2 months before the crash. Autumn clicked. The footage was grainy. Static at the edges. Hidden camera. A girl. Mid-20s. Dark curls. Pale. Sitting across from Gideon Hawthorne in an upscale restaurant. No audio, but their body language screamed tension. He passed her a small envelope. She pushed it back. Then another man entered the frame. Reese. He slid something under the table. The girl stood. Yelled something. People turned. She stormed out. Cut. Autumn rewound. Froze at the envelope. Zoomed in. Logo, AmeriCorps Medical Consortium. AMC. She turned to me. Eli, that girl. Her name's Marisol Whitaker. She was Nolan's daughter. I froze. My half-sister. And a whistleblower. A breath caught in my chest. She's dead, Eli. Died in a car accident 6 weeks ago. Another staged crash. Cut scene. Autumn stood. Her hands trembled. Her face pale. They're erasing every branch of that bloodline. Except me. Not for long. Thunder cracked outside. Then. A knock. Soft. Measured. Autumn reached under the sink. Pulled out a pistol. Another knock. Then a voice. Male. Calm. Flat. Elias. Open the door. I backed away. The voice came again. Open the door or she dies. Autumn's eyes locked on mine. And just like that, the power cut. Darkness swallowed the kitchen. Not quiet darkness. Electric. Alive. Autumn grabbed my sleeve and yanked me down behind the island just as something slammed into the front door. Once. Twice. A third time, harder. Federal agents, a voice barked. Too loud. Too clean. Wrong cadence. Autumn's eyes narrowed. She mouthed one word, fake. My phone vibrated in my pocket. No signal bars. Still, text came through. Do not trust the badge. The back window exploded. Glass rained across the tile. I felt it before I heard it. Pressure, heat, a concussive thump that rattled the cabinets. Autumn fired once. Sharp. Controlled. A man cursed. Another body hit the floor outside. Move, she hissed. Cut scene. We bolted through the hallway, barefoot, blood slicking the tile. Smoke crawled low, burning my throat. I grabbed the USB off the counter as we passed. Back door. Jammed. Front door, splintering. Basement, Autumn said. Now. We took the stairs 2 at a time. The smell down there was oil and damp concrete. Emergency lights flickered red, then died. Footsteps overhead. Heavy. Multiple. I could hear radios now. Murmured voices. Professional. Too professional for criminals. Too sloppy for feds. Autumn shoved open the utility closet and ripped the panel off the wall behind the washer. A crawl space. She pushed me first. Eli, listen to me. Her voice dropped. Steady. If they take me, you run. Don't look back. Not happening. She met my eyes. For a second, fear cracked through her composure. Survival isn't heroic, she said quietly. It's just necessary. She shoved me in. The panel snapped shut. Dark again. Claustrophobic. The sound of my own breath pounding in my ears. Above me, the voices. We've got the woman. No sign of the male. Autumn screamed. It cut off too fast. I bit down on my fist to keep from making a sound. Minutes passed. Or seconds. Time fractured. Then silence. The panel slid open. Light flooded in. A man crouched there. Black jacket. Tactical vest. No insignia. He smiled. Elias Hawthorne, he said. You've been very hard to kill. I kicked out. Caught him in the chest. Scrambled past. Gunshots cracked. Drywall exploded. I ran. Cut scene. Rain again. Cold. Cleansing. I vaulted the fence, tore through a neighbor's yard, slipped on wet grass, kept moving. A car engine roared behind me. Headlights flared. I ducked into an alley, slammed through a fire door, and burst into music. Laughter. A chandelier. I stumbled into a charity gala. Men in tuxes. Women in silk. Champagne glasses raised mid-toast. A ballroom full of power. And at the center of it, Gideon Hawthorne. He froze when he saw me. Then smiled. Well, he said, clapping slowly. The ghost finally learned how to haunt. Security moved toward me. I raised my hands. I need the police, I said loudly. Now. Gideon laughed. Easy. Disarming. My brother's had a concussion, he told the room. Poor guy's confused. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You don't get it, Eli. This ends tonight. Marisol didn't think so. His jaw tightened. A tell. I leaned in. She recorded everything. His eyes flicked to my jacket. I smiled. You always said truth is dangerous. Guess you were right. Cut scene. Sirens wailed outside. Real this time. People murmured. Phones came out. Gideon's hand brushed his pocket. Too fast. I tackled him. We went down hard. Tables crashed. Glass shattered. Security swarmed. Someone screamed. Gideon struggled beneath me, breath hot with panic. You were never meant to inherit, he hissed. You're not even. Family? I finished. Funny. Dad said blood only matters when it spills. Police flooded the room. Guns drawn. Hands where we can see them. Gideon froze. So did I. An agent stepped forward. Badge visible. Real. He looked at me. Then at Gideon. Mr. Hawthorne, he said calmly. You're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction, and attempted homicide. Gideon laughed once. Sharp. Broken. You think this stops AMC? He sneered. You think Nolan didn't plan for this? The agent cuffed him. As they pulled him away, Gideon met my eyes. This isn't over, he said softly. You're standing on a grave you don't even know exists. They dragged him out. I stood alone in the wreckage. Heart hammering. Hands shaking. My phone buzzed. One final message. Unknown number. You did well, son. Phase 2 begins. The message glared at me from the cracked phone screen. You did well, son. Phase 2 begins. I dropped the phone like it burned. Phase 2? Sirens still echoed in the distance. Cameras flashed. The ballroom buzzed with reporters now, circling like flies around blood. The officers didn't question me. Not yet. Autumn was missing. Gideon was gone. Reese hadn't shown his face, which meant he was either too smart or too involved. I slipped through the crowd and out the rear entrance. No one stopped me. No one even looked up. That's the thing about power, people think it makes you visible. It doesn't. It makes you untouchable. Cut scene. The USB was still warm in my jacket. I hadn't plugged it in since the night Autumn was taken. But now, with Gideon in custody, there was no point delaying. I needed answers. Real ones. Not whispers through grave dirt. I found a cheap hotel off Route 73. The kind with bulletproof glass at the front desk and a front clerk who didn't ask for ID if you paid cash. Inside the room, the air was stale. Musty. Safe. I locked the door, pushed the dresser in front of it, and turned off all the lights. Then I slid the USB into my burner laptop. One file. Encrypted. Buried under layers of passwords. But it wasn't locked to me. It was locked to a fingerprint. I stared. Then remembered. The ring. My father's old signet ring, engraved with the Whitaker crest. I'd found it in the safe next to the USB. Instinct hit me like a hammer. I unscrewed the top of the ring. Inside was glass. A sliver of skin-colored gel. Preserved. Print scan complete. The file opened. And hell came with it. Cut scene. A hidden ledger. Codenamed Black Marble Initiative. Names. Banks. Transfers. Dozens of hospitals. Research firms. Shell companies. AMC wasn't just hiding illegal experiments. They were laundering money through treatments that never existed. Billing dead patients. Forging donor signatures. Siphoning millions through offshore accounts in Malta, Panama, and Helsinki. One name appeared again and again. Reese Hawthorne. Underneath it, another label. Executor of the Whitaker Trust. I stopped breathing. Reese was supposed to have no control. I'd been told for years the trust was dissolved after Nolan's disappearance. But it wasn't. It had evolved. Nolan Whitaker, MIA. Presumed dead. Until today. The final tab on the USB was a recorded call. Timestamp 2 weeks ago. Caller ID masked. Voice distorted, but I knew it. Nolan. The asset has returned. Proceed with Phase 2. Hawthorne will implode from the inside. Leave Elias alive, for now. I slammed the laptop shut. The voice didn't sound like a ghost. It sounded like strategy. Cut scene. I ran to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. My reflection stared back at me, jagged, eyes wide. Nothing prepares you for betrayal in surround sound. You spend your whole life being the quiet one, I muttered, until silence becomes your only weapon. A knock. Short. Sharp. I froze. Another knock. I stepped toward the door, heart climbing my throat. No peephole. Just wood. Then, a slide. A thin envelope slipped under the door. I grabbed it. Ripped it open. Inside, a plane ticket. Departure, Newark. Midnight. Arrival, Oslo, Norway. Name on the ticket, Marisol Whitaker. I staggered back. She was dead. I saw the report. The photos. But this. A phone rang. Not mine. The room's landline. I answered. Silence. Then. She's not dead, Elias. You've been chasing ghosts while the living prepare for war. Click. I stared at the envelope. Stamped in wax. The same Whitaker crest that adorned my father's ring. And suddenly, the USB began to smoke. The screen flickered. Then died. I dropped the laptop. Sparks flew. Whoever sent that call. They triggered a kill code. Everything gone. The data. The proof. The leverage. And yet, now I knew. Marisol was alive. Reese had the trust. Nolan was orchestrating from the shadows. And AMC? Just the front. The war wasn't about money. It was about who deserved to rewrite the rules of bloodlines. I looked out the window. Across the parking lot. A black SUV idled. Headlights off. Watching. Waiting. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. She'll meet you at gate 9. Don't be late. They told me Oslo would be quiet. Lie. The airport was a storm of lights and shadows, like someone flicked a switch between calm and chaos. The man at gate 9 wasn't waiting. But there was a note. Folded. Sharp. You're close. Look behind you. I froze. Footsteps, not mine, echoed on the terminal tile. Turned. A woman. Tall. Hair slick with rain. Marisol. Alive. Not a ghost. Not a memory. Alive. Her eyes were wide. Wild. Familiar. Elias, she whispered. Something cracked inside me. Relief mixed with fear. A cocktail no one should ever drink. Why? I breathed. She didn't answer. Phone buzzed. New message. Turn around. I did. 3 men in black suits. No badges. Just shadows and tailored fear. Marisol pulled me back. Phase 2, she spat. They want us alive together. We ran. Out of the airport. Into a rainy alley. Car engines revved. Too close. I grabbed her arm. We stopped them tonight. She nodded, same tension reflected in her eyes. Courage under pressure isn't a choice. It's all we have. My voice low, almost drowned by thunder. We moved fast. No plan. Just instinct. A black SUV blocked the street ahead. Doors opened. Faces I knew. Reese. Calm. Too calm. Like a snake coiled around heat. Nice to see you, brother, he said. My pulse spiked. You're dead, I said. Not yet, he smiled. Not until this ends. Another vehicle arrived. Nolan stepped out. The man I thought was dust. Forgotten. Standing tall. Alive. Breathing. Watching. You should have stayed dead, Reese said. Nolan didn't flinch. Not dead, he corrected. Just hidden. Something in his voice, smooth, practiced. Marisol shifted closer. I trusted you, she snapped at Nolan. He didn't blink. I protected you, he said. Protected you all. The SUV doors opened again. 2 agents in suits, badges out. FBI, one said. Hands where we can see them. Chaos. Cut. Gunshots. My breath left me. Metal screeched. Reese dove toward us. Nolan fell back. Marisol shoved me down. I saw headlights reflect off metal. The FBI agents raised weapons. But Not at us. At Nolan. Nolan Whitaker, the second agent, barked. You're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and orchestrating a decade of fraud through AMC. Nolan's face didn't change. No fear. Just acceptance. Reese snarled. Don't listen to them, he growled. He's family. No. Not anymore. Nolan raised his hands. Metal cuffs clicked. Two agents pulled him into the back of a black sedan. Reese didn't move. He didn't try to escape. He watched. Like he wanted to see the end of something that once was a kingdom. Silence. Rain. Sirens closer now. Marisol breathed hard. I stepped toward her. Her eyes on the ground. Why, she breathed. Why did you hide? Why did you let this happen? I didn't have an answer. Not the one she wanted. Not the one I wanted. Because some truths, I said, voice low, raw, are buried to protect us. But protection is just another word for prison. She looked up. A tear slipped. Not regret. Not sorrow. Truth. We walked toward the approaching lights. The agent stood still. No more guns. Just papers. Arrest warrants. Statements. A world that needed truth, not silence. One agent handed me a folder. AMC Internal Ledger. Laid bare. Reese's name was on every page. Contracts. Transfers. Phonies. Lies. Legal. Illegal. All of it. But now flagged. Public. The press would eat this alive. I glanced at Marisol. Her name in bold, whistleblower. She turned away, light washing her face. I knew then it wasn't over. Not the pain. Not the questions. But the truth was out. The rain eased. The sky cracked open. Light spilled onto the pavement. Sirens still howled. But hope wasn't dead. You can break a man's bones. But truth breaks chains. I felt the weight lift. A little. Not gone. Just lighter. We walked out together. Step by step. Toward the flashing lights. Toward justice. Toward a life that belonged to us. Not stolen. Not hidden. Yours. Mine. Ours. The world waited. And we lived.